Welcome to Crater Earth Research.
In the last video I uploaded, someone asked me how the seasons of the year is possible in this flat crater Earth map. I thought that would be a great idea for a new video, sharing this knowledge with everyone. I decided to create a presentation of each month of the year with the path of the sun in the crater Earth. It doesn't have the best graphics or movements because I'm not an expert. There is a few errors with how the sun zig-zag a little when I try to make the graphic of sun path move smoothly, but the most important thing is that everyone can understand how the seasons is possible in this flat crater Earth map. To create this presentation I guided myself with the book of Enoch, which it deeply explained the answer of this question. I'll be sharing each verse so everyone can understand why I did this presentation this way. Before I start, I want to point out a few observations. When I was making the last video I uploaded, I was thinking of how Russia and Alaska kinda has a similarity with an old painting made by Michelangelo, of the finger of God almost touching with the finger of Adam. I forgot to add that in my last video and one of my subscribers noticed the same thing I noticed of that similarity. I wonder if Michelangelo subliminally made that painting that way, telling us something, just like the elites normally do with their predictive programming. Thank you for reminding me about this observation, Frog March 1000. After finding out about the cargo ship routes not making sense on a globe Earth or flat Earth map, I kept thinking, what is the deal between Russia and Alaska? Are they that close to each other, or is someone lying? The official globe Earth information tell us that the closest part of Russia is 2 miles away from Alaska. If Russia is only 2 miles away from Alaska, it doesn't make sense at all that Russia is 20 hours ahead of Alaska. That means if in Alaska is 1 p.m. October 20th, in Russia is 5 a.m. October 21st. Seriously, does this make sense to you if they truly are so close to each other?
FBI, open up!
Book of Enoch Chapter 71. The Book of the Revolutions of the Luminaries of Heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, their respective names, the places where they commence their progress, and their respective months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, explained to me, he who conducted them. The whole account of them, according to every year of the world forever, until a new work shall be effected, which will be eternal. This is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east, and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven. I beheld the gates whence the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets, in which gates also the moon rises and sets, and I beheld the conductors of the stars, among those who precede them. 6 gates were at the rising, and 6 at the setting of the sun. All these respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and on the left sides of those gates. First proceeds forth that great luminary, which is called the sun, the orb of which is as the orb of heaven, the whole of it being replete with splendid and flaming fire. Its chariot, where it ascends, the wind blows. The sun sets in heaven, and, returning by the north, to proceed towards the east, is conducted so as to enter by that gate, and illuminate the face of heaven. In the same manner it goes forth in the first month by the great gate. It goes forth through the 4th of those 6 gates, which are at the rising of the sun. And in the 4th gate, through which the sun with the moon proceeds, in the first part of it, there are 12 open windows, from which issues out a flame, when they are opened in their proper periods. When the sun rises in heaven, it goes forth through this 4th gate 30 days, and by the 4th gate in the west of heaven on a level with it descends. The sun goes forth through this 4th gate, and sets in it, and turns to the 5th gate during 30 days, after which it proceeds from and sets in the 5th gate. The sun now returns to the east, entering into the 6th gate, and rising and setting in the sixth gate 31 days, on account of its signs. At that period the day is longer than the night, being twice as long as the night, and become 12 parts, but the night is shortened, and becomes 6 parts. Then the sun rises up, that the day may be shortened, and the night lengthened. And the sun returns toward the east, entering into the sixth gate, where it rises and sets for 30 days. This verse explains that the sun rises up. This is why the light reaches farther, that way it can offer the right amount of heat to the northern cold countries, where the heat is not that strong. Then the sun goes from the west, from that sixth gate, and proceeds eastwards, rising in the fifth gate for 30 days, and setting again westwards in the fifth gate of the west. Then the sun goes from the fifth gate, as it sets in the fifth gate of the west, and rises in the fourth gate for 31 days, on account of its signs, setting in the west. Then the sun goes from that gate, as it sets in the west, and returning to the east proceeds by the third gate for 30 days, setting in the west at the third gate. The sun now goes from the third gate, as it sets in the third gate in the west, but returning to the east, it proceeds by the second gate of the east for 30 days. Then the sun goes at that time from the second gate, as it sets in the second gate in the west, but returns to the east, proceeding by the first gate, for 31 days. The sun has thus completed its beginnings, and a second time goes round from these beginnings. Into that first gate it enters for 30 days, and sets in the west, in the opposite part of heaven. Then the sun returns, and enters into the second gate of the east. It returns by these beginnings 30 days, rising and setting. At that period the night is contracted in its length. It becomes 10 parts, and the day 8 parts. Then the sun goes from that second gate, and sets in the west, but returns to the east, and rises in the east, in the third gate, 31 days, setting in the west of heaven. If you look at where the sun comes out and goes to the west, its light doesn't touch Russia that much in the winter. After seeing this you can clearly understand why Russia has one of the coldest places of the world. This movements of the sun reminded me of my first time-lapse video, where I recorded the moon for 12 hours, coming from the east and leaving to the southwest. It was coming in a straight line, but then, it started taking a sharp curve, just like I'm showing in this presentation when the sun is about to reach the portal. If you wonder why people from Russia are able to see the sunlight coming before the sun gets there, when the sun is still about to reach the portal from the west, that is possible because the book of Enoch explained that those portals have windows. That means that the people of Russia are able to see what is visible in the skies between Alaska and California, thanks to those windows. If you take a look at the path of the sun, it makes sense why Antarctica and the ice that surround us have that exact shape. The sun melted them by passing through those paths. If this is 100% correct, it makes so much sense when we look at Google Earth, and we can see this gigantic mountains under the sea. The real question here is, are they truly under the sea? Or are they the ice walls surrounding crater Earth? I cannot end this video without showing proof of the sun going through the portals of heaven, just like the book of Enoch says. This was recorded from southern Connecticut. If you want to see the unedited footage of this amazing evidence caught from a drone, the link of the original video is in the description below.